Ok, vas-y, ça tourne.
So, David, I want,
Yes, Didier.
I want you to tell me the story of the production, everything that happened since ABC asked you for
Oh,
a
that
TV
would
show.
take a long time, Didier. It went funny. That's all I can tell you. Because we finished our first work a year and a half ago.
And then you went back to Mulholland, right? How was that? How would you to go back in the state of mind of a movie and to leave it and go back to it?
Very interesting, because it becomes like something to figure out, you know, like a puzzle. And so it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing to have something that makes you think of something else, and it's a kind of a trick that I would like to try to trick myself again, because it makes your mind work in a different way.
When a little bit after that ABC said no to the show, you said in an interview to Movie Line, I guess, that you didn't want to hear anything more about Mulholland Drive. What made you change your mind?
No, I didn't want to hear anything more about television. But Mulholland Drive, you know, it makes me dream, and so I hated to say goodbye to that, you know. But it was built primarily for a pilot, and a pilot has openings but very few closings. So that was the trick.
So all these 10 days of shooting is going to be like shooting the closure of the story. It's going to be. I'm supposed it's not going to be that. I know your work, and it's not. It's always like there's always open endings and stuff like that. Is it going to be the same, or?
It's it was an interesting experience, you know, how one thing led to another. That's all I can say. It was really interesting.
Last time you made a movie that was located in Los Angeles, it was Lost Highway. The view of the city was kind of very pessimistic. Would you say that this one is kind of the same?
It's both optimistic and pessimistic. It's a blending.
Is there a comment about how?
No. It's you know, it's about some specific people and what they are, you know, going through, and so it's not like a statement on a, you know, that's like it's about individuals.
The fact that some of the people are actors, I guess, is that a way to say something about?
No. It's about the fact that they happen to be actors. Some of them, not all of them at all.
And I see when I read the fact sheet yesterday that every character plays like 2 or maybe 3 characters. Every actor.
I wouldn't know anything about that, Didier.
Why Mulholland Drive? Why this long avenue of Los Angeles?
Well, it's a road that is locked sort of back in time, and a lot of it is anyway. It's kind of all by itself on the crest of the mountains. And there's many places where you can overlook, you know, either the valley or Los Angeles, you know, Hollywood down below. And it's very dark there at night. And so the road, and it's curving, and it makes you, it just gives you a feeling. It's a kind of a dream road.
Oh, and you have a very certain vision of the road. I mean, what you do with the road itself in Lost Highway was very special. Is it going to be the same here?
No, nothing's ever the same. Its story dictates how it should be told. Each story is different, so each story talks to you in different ways.
There is a certain relationship that you work on with your actors. Is it possible to work on the same relationship 1.5 years after the first shooting?
Sure. They sort of have, it's like seeing a friend after 1.5 years. They're the same friend. New things have happened, but basically they're the same friend.
And the rewriting of the story, was it difficult to go back?
No, these ideas came to me, so I felt, very, excited about them.
You shooting here today in the valley, you shot some...
Well, we're overlooking the valley, but we're not, I don't know, maybe we are on the valley side of Mulholland Drive right now, yes.
There's something that is very interesting in Lost Highway. When you show two worlds, the world in the hills and the world in the valley, and kind of put them in opposition. Would you comment on that? Is there really a big difference between the valley people and the Hollywood people in?
Yeah, there's a difference in LA. Everything seems at first glance to be all the same, spread out, kind of everything looks the same. But when you start going from one place to another through the years, you feel different moods. And it's a certain thing. It's real abstract, but there's many different moods in LA. Beautiful changes, but you have to, they don't jump out at you right away. You have to kind of discover them. And you can generalize, it's not that easy, but still there's differences.
The work with Richard Farnsworth on Straight Story, did that help you to go back to younger actors after that?
No. That's just the story. Again, the story, you want to tell a story, and it tells you how to tell it. The story talks to you.
Laura told us something that was very nice yesterday. She said that when you give her indication, it's always metaphorical. Why do you do that? Why is that?
You don't ever want to be specific. You want to get a way to have the thing come alive way inside. And then if it comes alive inside, it will come out, a certain way.
What is the way it's coming out with Laura?
Every line is different, every word, every look. It has a certain way of wanting to be, and then there's a certain way of talking. And with each person, it's different, and it's a feeling.
Yesterday there was a beautiful moment where Naomi has a problem with the line, and then you...
He's taking the camera apart.
Then you went and talked with her. Do you know the moment that you have to talk with an actor very privately, more intimately?
Well, always I think you talk to people, actors one-on-one, and if you can look in their eyes, and you can, it's communication. It's not always words. It's a look. It's like a joining, and then you go like that.
There's some people that said after the Straight Story that David Lynch had changed, that he's going for a more narrative way. Is that going to be in the same line, or?
Look, Didier, every story has its way. So there's no thinking, I'm going to go a narrative way, or I'm going to go this way. You just happen to fall in love with the story, and it tells you in a way everything, how to be, and you follow that. So it depends on the stories that you fall in love with.
If this wouldn't have happened, if you couldn't have done the ending of the movie, would you have been very frustrated? What would you think?
If when you make something and it's not completed, and it's lays in a half-completed form, it always would be a trauma, that you want to make it complete. And so it's like a loose end, and that this chance to, finish this in this way is a beautiful thing.
Is there a feeling of joy being here, a feeling of...
Oh yeah, I love shooting, number one, and it's a great, bunch that I work with, and so, and then ideas are meant to be kind of realized. So you work till you get it, feeling right, and it's a fantastic thing, yeah, to be working.
How was it? What was your reaction when David called you and said, "We're gonna go back to Mulholland Drive"?
Well, originally, we shot the first part a year and a half ago, and I had several phone calls with David, and one day he said, the project's dead. Mulholland Drive is dead. And I said to him, David, I don't think so. I kept dreaming about Mulholland Drive becoming a movie, and I kept telling him that I was seeing omens, Rita, which is the character name, all over the place, and I just saw Mulholland everywhere, and I said, I just feel that it's going to go forward. And a few weeks later, he called and said he needed to have a meeting with Naomi and I, and he sat us down in his office, and he said, I have an idea, and we're making it into a movie. So we were sworn to secrecy, and here we are today.
The project, the original project, how did you receive it when he said it for the first time? He told you that I want to do a TV series that's going to be called Mulholland Drive. What did you know about it? What did he tell you about it?
Actually, it was...
just 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Actually, it was very funny because Joanna Ray, whom I had, the casting lady I had met 10 years before, I did the first movie I ever did with her son. We played love interests. And she said, David Lynch would like to see you. 2 days later, I'm driving over, and I'm like, David Lynch, bang, I have a car accident. On the way to my meeting, I have a car accident. And I was sitting in the office with his executive assistant, and she told me that in the script, the very first scene, there's a car accident. And I told her, I said, I cannot believe that I just had a car accident. Anyway, and we met, and when they told me that I had the part, I was elated. But then a few weeks later, they said, but, you still have to test for ABC. So I didn't have it yet, and so it was very stressful and very nerve-wracking. But David's such an actor's director that he allowed no executives on the set, and we did a test on film, and very cozy, very warm, and he said it's a rehearsal. And he made us feel so comfortable. And then it was, wonderful, beautiful, and a few days later, they called me and said that I had the role, and, I celebrated and the whole thing, so that's how it happened.
If I understand it well, Mulholland Drive is kind of saying a lot of things about the way Hollywood is kind of reigning over LA and California. Am I correct about that?
Well, I cannot really tell the story, but it's a very interesting story, and it's a very magical, surreal story, and it does deal with Hollywood a little bit, but I'm not sure if in the way that you're saying, but it's very interesting, and I'm sure you'll love it. It's a beautiful story.
Would you say that it is a lot in this previous work, like Lost Highway, or is it crossover from Lost Highway or Toy Story? What would you say?
Yeah, it's a, when you look at the movie, it's very David Lynch, but, David's old work, from The Elephant Man and Blue Velvet, was a little bit different. This is more of, in my opinion, a little bit of his newer work, although The Straight Story was also a heartfelt, story. I think this incorporates the two styles, and that's what makes it really beautiful.
We know that his visual world is very spatial. How does that translate on the set for an actress?
After so many years in Hollywood, I realized that until I worked with David, that I've never really had, anybody really directing me before. He's an actor's director, and he is a poet. So he directs in metaphors, which is very easy for me because I'm very visual, to get what he means, and very few people direct you in metaphors because he's a poet, and he's an artist, and so it's beautiful. It's just such a wonderful thing for an actor to be directed in that way, and it's very specific and very visual, and he's so passionate, and it's just perfect for all of us to be working together. It's a lot of fun.
Can you give me an example? How did he direct you for this scene?
On one scene where we had the car accident, he said, you come down like a broken doll. Like a broken doll. And before, normally they were like, oh, you're in pain, you're hurt, really show the pain. No, it was like a broken doll. And so then it's just easy to get into that broken doll mode, because you see what he needs.
What did he tell you for this one?
For this one, it's magical. This is a secret garden, so it's very magical and it's dreamy. So we're in a dream. And so that makes it very easy to get into the whole feeling of a dream.
Yes, sir.
I think they need me now, so I'm going to let you go, but I'll come back maybe later.
So Laura, without saying too much, can you tell me a little bit about your character and the relationship with Naomi's character?
Oh, you asked for too much.
Oh, come on.
Actually, it's very interesting because we both get to act almost like two different people. And that's all I can say.
Wait,
Forgive me, please. Forgive me.
What, David asked you not to say anything?
Yes, he did. Yes, it's very wonderful for an actor to be in one movie that you can play two different people and different ranges of emotions, and we have that in this. So we're both very lucky, to be doing this. But it's the extremes, the whole range. So
How was it to keep the secret for a year and a half?
It was very difficult, Didier. I have to tell you, it was very, very difficult. And people are not going to imagine how David was able to transform this into a really great movie, and only a creative genius like David could do it. Make something that was made for television, shot on film and everything, but the story was, into a feature film, and use the material to transform it and make it work, and he did beautifully.
Is the state of mind really different from now than a year and a half ago?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which way?
The character I played before, I played two characters before, and then now I'm playing kind of like a third one. So it was a completely different state of mind. I mean, as I said, like the full extreme, the epitome of torment and lost and confusion, to secure and sexual and sensual and very in touch and very successful.
Okay.
Does that help you? It confused you a little more, didn't it?
Yeah.
I know. You have to watch it. You have to see it. I'm sworn to secrecy, so I just can't help you out. I'm sorry.
How did you go back to the usual way the director is directing his actor in a movie set, on a movie set or a TV set? How did you go back to that?
I worked with some really, good directors, but never magnificent, brilliant, and it makes all the difference in the world. As I was saying. It's really a blessing, and as you know, David is one of the very respected directors internationally, around the world, and they teach his movies in universities, and so, he's a legend, and it's working with, the best, so.
So how is it to go back to the ordinary filmmaking?
Well, you have to keep what you learned, and in your mind make your own notes and make your own metaphors, I think. But it's hard to not have that direction from a visionary, from somebody that's seeing the vision. I think also when David touches people in a very deep way without even realizing, I think he really touches the unconscious and the psyche of people. I think his work has a deeper meaning, and some people get it, some people don't, but nevertheless, I think that's why he is so popular, because he's dealing with all these unconscious forces, and he's writing these things and that people feel and relate, even unconsciously sometimes.
Has anybody come back from the?
That was another thing, that it was so incredible how he was able to find all the same actors. I mean, I'm talking even the limo drivers and the waitresses and whatever, they're all the same. So it just all kind of worked out. I think it was just meant to be.
I saw somebody saying to him earlier, it's déjà vu all over again, and so happy to be back. And was that the feeling? Of the...
It took me a couple days to really turn around and see everybody and say, oh my God, this is surreal. I mean, you turn around, you look at the same crew, the same people. Other than a couple, people that are different, but most of the people are exactly the same, and it is a surreal experience, like being in a dream.
Je sais que
So Naomi, how was it to go back to Mulholland Drive a year and a half later?
Oh, it's a very strange experience. I sat in the makeup chair the first morning. I was in the hair chair, and Laura, the other actress, Laura Harring, was in the makeup chair, and I just looked at her, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I looked at all the pictures, the continuity pictures, and I went, oh my God, Laura, we're here. We're really here. This has been an ongoing journey for a year and a half. And it's been so many times throughout that year and a half where it's been almost there and then erupted and fallen apart, or it was going to take on some other dynamic. And, you know, be it a feature or a TV series, but come alive in the second season rather than, you know, what it was supposed to be in the first season. Just all these things were talked about, and, you know, there was lots of press, people following the story, and finally it came together, and it was a very strange feeling to be back on set doing it. But everything's changed, you know, the characters, I mean, without divulging too much, the characters they're so diverse now, which is great for an acting.
How can it change as much? There was only like 10 more days of shooting. It's not like
I know, but when you've got ideas coming out of your head like David Lynch does, anything can happen. No, it was amazing how he tied it all up. I was shocked. I went in there to read the pages with Laura. We had to sit there together. It was such top secret. He didn't want anyone to see them. So we went in there and read them together, literally. We were not allowed to take them out of the room, let alone the building. We went ahead and read them, and it was like, oh my God, I can't believe he tied it all up. It all works. Like, there's so many characters, because it was going to be a TV series, we had to, you know, set up many characters. It was very much an ensemble piece. And, you know, a lot of the characters have come back, and some is the same characters, some is different. And he's just somehow pieced it all together where it makes complete sense. But still many, many question marks.
You're right, there was a lot of press about the once to be a TV show, and there was a few photos that we saw, but nothing about the story. Why is there such a mystery about it?
Because I think that's the way David likes to work. He likes the mystery factor. He likes the energy it causes. Keep the questions, keep the mystery, and it keeps people guessing, you know. And so that when it finally comes together, they're all revved up. You know, there's all this energy about all these stories, all this speculation, and finally you get to see it and you make up your own mind. Also, you know, particularly with the second part of the filming, this part that we're shooting now, I think that he really wants to keep secret because the story does change in such a extraordinary way. But when it was a TV series, I think it's a difficult thing to explain as well. It's like, you know, it's the Hollywood aspect with a lot of mystery, and it's not just Hollywood filmmaking. It's like different characters and people around this town, basically. So I think, you know, it's best left untouched and just go in there, and that's the way I prefer to see a film, when you haven't read too much about it, or you hear about it and you've got, you know, it's like but you know, also you don't want it to be spoiled like by over talk, and you know, like I think that happened a little bit with Kubrick's last movie, you know. But I think it's good to leave this.
Okay, but without saying too much, a little bit about your character and the relationship with Laura.
Yeah. Well, it starts off in a very interesting way. Yeah, it's difficult to say this because I really can't give it away, but
right here.
let me just say that it's an incredible acting experience, because it's not that our roles have switched, but what our characters are going through in the beginning and what they're going through at the end are very diverse, you know, and her character's very distressed in the beginning, and I'm this one that's keeping it together, and like, you know, the happy-go-lucky, magical, you know, energetic one, and my character takes care of hers, and there's a friendship that's formed, and then there's a twist, and I end up being the distressed one, and she is, you know, the light basically, and I'm the darkness.
Tonight you are very glamorous. This afternoon you were like a little less.
A little less glass.
What's the changes? What's
again, without giving too much away, it's just a journey, a really extraordinary journey that my character goes on, which is just so satisfying for an actor to take on, because you have this movement, and she goes places. She's still, like, even though I look a little more glamorous, she's still in a place of confusion, and she's unsteady, and this Laura's character is completely leading the way, and she's sort of predicting all my emotions, all my moods. I'm completely at a point in this story, in this part of the story. I'm built upon her reactions and actions, basically, and it's a difficult role to play, because you want to drive scenes as well as be, honor the story, which is very complex.
David, he has his kind of his own universe. His movies are really spatial. How is it easy for an actress to get inside his universe?
It's a great honor, and to be within his presence, because of he has such a body of work that's so admirable. When I first met David, I was I was like, wow, he's so interesting, and I had all these questions. Oh, but if she's doing that, what happens, how did she get there? Because she came from this, and, all these things going on in my head that, were not necessarily answerable from the script. And he would just sit there and smile smugly and enjoy my torture. And just like, well, Naomi, you just gotta work it out, And he had a quote that I always remember, which is, some guy can write a book, and the book can be talked about, and everybody loves it, and critically acclaimed, but the writer died before the book came out, and so everybody has these questions, but they're never going to get answered. So it's the same thing. It's like, you just got to work it out. And if you can't work it out, come up with something. And, because it's up to the audience. Who wants to go and see movies where everything is spelt out to you and there's no work for you? It's, you've got to be in the right kind of mood. But for the most part, I think in your adult life, you do want to do some of the work. You want to be thinking. You want to relate it to your own life. You want to, take it home with you. And that's what I think David's movies do. You're there, and even while you're there in the seat, you're also other places, and then when you leave, you take the movie with you. And I think that's important. And that's how he directs, is that, you have all these questions. And it's not that I've given up asking questions, because there are still ones, and you get little clues, but then it gives you a whole load of more questions. When you get one answer, it's like, oh my God, it's just opened up a whole new can of worms. But the biggest thing to enter into his universe is to trust him, and to try and see his vision. And I guess the trust comes predominantly through seeing his other movies and knowing that they work, and but also because he's such a great guy. He's not like, you might have some director that you work with that, let's leave this on there's some pretension about it. And that's not the case with David. He's not smug about it, or he is a little bit smug, a little bit cheeky. But he enjoys that you're like suffering and going, oh my God, what if? But you just go with it. You just let him take you there, and you know that he's not going to finish until he's got it. So, I mean, sometimes we do 1 or 2 takes, other times up to 8 or 9, you know. It just completely depends. So you always know that you're in good hands and that we have achieved what he wanted.
Laura just told me that the way he gives his indication is pretty spatial. How would you say this way is?
Yeah, he often he'll put an analogy, and sometimes more abstract than that, and give you a metaphor. But
Sean needs some Windex.
it's more kind
Going
of
on your truck?
yeah, more abstract basically. And
You going down your truck?
he can
We
be
can get Sean some Windex.
not
He
so
could use
specific with words.
He's heading to the
But other times he's very specific with an expression or a mannerism, and you get it. You get what he's going for because he's so like he'll go and she's strung out and she's going fucking crazy and you know and it's like that. It's like you just go, okay, I got it, you know. And he's not like giving you a line reading and he's not giving you some incredible. You just get the whole picture. He gives it to you, and he's incredibly expressive, and to me that's communication. You know, some people go, oh, I don't like to work with directors that give you results, you know, and you know, don't give me a word, don't give me, you know, give me a clue, you know, the idea, the concept, you know, and he's like that. He's very specific and very communicative.
And he seems very sweet. We saw him this afternoon when you had a problem with the line. He came and see you and talked with you. Is he like that all the time?
Oh,
What happens?
He's very sweet. And, you know, and he makes a little joke out of it, you know, because you can get, like, when you get stuck on a line, you know, you can do it. And you know the line, you know it back to front, but you just get outside yourself and you go, shit, you know, and you panic and suddenly it just becomes this big problem and you're doing take after take and you know, and it becomes a whole energy that you feel like you're holding up the entire set. And David makes you giggle. He makes you, you know, he said, you get that line right, Naomi. And so it instantly takes the pressure off me. You know, if he'd said it with another intonation, I may have gotten even more tense. But I know that he's there no matter what. And if I get it wrong 10 more times, it's okay. Oops, excuse me. And, you know, I will just add to that. Yesterday I did probably one of the most difficult moments I've ever had on film, and I can't tell you the scene, but it was so confronting and humiliating and awkward and emotional and just, I mean, you'll see it when the movie comes together, and I don't quite know how he's going to do it, but I can't even explain how difficult this was, and David knew. You know, and it required a lot of emotion, a lot of anger, you know, like, and jumping from one emotion to another, anger, sadness, lost, hysteria, you know, like all over the place, moving from one thing to another. And sometimes you just can't access those emotions back to back on cue, you know, and plus I had a tooth abscess, which I had fixed this morning. I had a root canal. Plus, I had a stomach bug. So in between this, you know, like whole day of emotional torture, turmoil, I had all those ailments, and David was just right there. You know, and at one point I thought I was going to crack up, and I just said, David, I can't do this. I can't do it anymore. Like this. And David was like, okay, Naomi, okay. You know, and I was ready to just pack up and go home or just finish with that scene. And David goes, you know, I hear the whole set was blocked off because it was too humiliating for me to be there in front of the crew. And he could have said, okay, Naomi, we've finished right there now. And but I heard his voice in the background with his bullhorn. And he said, okay, Naomi, we'll do this, we'll wait. And like, they're just burning film, waiting for me. And that alone just gets you going again, because it's like, oh my God, he's there for me, you know? He's just right there with you. And he knows exactly what he's putting me through, which is horrible, you know, and he knows it too. And, you know, there were times when I was just like, damn you for coming up with this, you know? It's really difficult, but it's so good as an actress to have the opportunity to play these moments that are deeply human but deeply dark, you know. So it's an honor.
It's not gonna be easy to go back to ordinary filmmakers.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Aren't you a little afraid of that?
Huh?
Aren't you a little afraid of that?
I'm afraid, yeah, definitely. Everything will pale. No, hopefully it will open up and, you know, some doors, and, you know, I'm certainly going to be looking for better material.
When you're ready.
All right, thank you very.
Did you want one line before the